Alrighty guys, welcome back to the Earth to Emma podcast. I know it's been a while, but in this episode, we are talking about syncing with the menstrual cycle. We are talking about just my experience in cycle syncing and how it's impacted my life, the changes that I have noticed, the effects that I've had. I'm touching on this journal that I came out with and really just expressing and holding space for the wild, the beautiful, the deep, amazing feminine energy that's within us. And so I hope you enjoy this episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to the pod. Super excited. I feel like it's been so long since I've done a podcast, and I really just haven't been able to take all that's happening in my mind and really sit down and just center with it. I just feel like I've been in such a flow that to sit and talk about it, I just almost haven't had the time because it's just so much happening. So I figured it just felt right in this moment. So I figured let's just go for it. Let's catch up. Let's talk about it. So the space that I'm in right now is really heavy in cycle syncing and just fully honoring the cycles of nature. And so with that came a project that I was just so stoked about. It was one of those things that came so naturally that I felt like I was doing it and working on this project before my mind even comprehended yeah, let's do this. My mind never made the decision. It was happening. I got the download and it started happening, and it was just such a flow state that I don't know, it just felt like magic. And I love those moments. I love those things that just come out of when you're aligning and when you're holding space for things to come forward. The things that do come forward are so beautiful and full of heart and soul. So I feel like it's a good time to enter this living in sync, this 3-month menstrual cycle journal that I created just out of what I had used in my own life. So I had this running document of all my information that I've collected over the past year-ish, of just different information about your cycle, what's happening in your body, different activities, different self-care, just all the information that I had saved on cycle syncing. I had this Word document, and I used this document in my own life, even, when I'm going to get my groceries, when I'm going to get my groceries for the week, and I'm looking at my Google Doc saying, okay, here's where I'm at in my cycle. What should I focus on? And creating meals and just really syncing my life with where I was at, planning as much as I could to my cycle. And, there's still holding space because it's all a balance. So I'm holding space for, where I wake up and I'm checking in with myself. How am I feeling today? Checking in moment to moment. How am I feeling after this whole day of work? How am I feeling after this? Or, and meeting myself in those spots. And still, intentionally, if I can plan my social events in my follicular or my ovulation, my higher energy, more social phases, doing that without disrupting, still letting my life flow, still letting myself show up exactly as I am. And some days that's low energy, and planning with it as much as I naturally can without it feeling forced one way or the other. I'm not going to force myself to stay home just because say I'm in my luteal phase, and I'm not going to tell myself or tell people, no, I can't go out, or no, I can't do this if I want to. So it's not being fixed in one way or the other. So it's really holding space for how you feel, and then just going into that week, into that space with awareness of how you may feel, in holding space for what's actually happening in your body. And so just this whole journey that I've been on of doing this in my own personal life led me to be able to share this information. So as it just naturally came up, and I would talk with, a lot of my students in my yoga classes would ask me questions, what are some things that you do to sync your life with your cycle? And a lot of my students, a lot of the people that I interact with, a lot of the women that I interact with don't know the phases of the cycle. They don't even know what's happening in their body. And to me, this just feels mind-blowing. Like, to not even know our own phase, to not even know what's happening in our body. And for me personally, in my own experience, that's what led to burnout and not being able to rest without guilt. And I was treating every phase of my cycle as though I just had to power through. I just had, I was lazy if I was resting, and I just needed to power through. I had to grind, and it was just creating such friction in my life, living without this awareness. And so as I've stepped into this space where I'm noticing and I'm welcoming cycle syncing in my awareness, I just feel so full and so free and so light, and I feel like I can rest. I feel like I can honor where I am, and I'm so much more productive when I rest than when I try to just power through and grind through. So as I'm talking to women in my life who are all going through the same thing, and they're burnout and they're tired, maybe low self-esteem, and they just feel confused and they don't understand, like they're trying so hard and it's just not happening, and they're not always creative, and they're not always on output mode, and they want to be and they don't understand. And I just realized we have such a big need for this information, and for women to be able to access this information and unlock this sense of who we are. And it's not just about the physical, what's happening in our body. There's such a beautiful and deep energetic shift in our bodies and in our souls every single month. And in my own personal experience, the more that I honor my natural rhythm and my natural cycle, the more I feel in my feminine, the more strong and powerful and grounded that I feel. I just feel like I can show up in all that I am in any phase, and it feels beautiful and it feels whole, whether that's sitting on the couch in my PJs, maybe taking a warm bath, or maybe that's teaching a yoga class, going to a new event, being out, being social, bouncing ideas off people, whether that's creating or being, whether I'm producing external things or just resting, I feel whole. And as I started to get to this point in my life, and in my own personal experience where I'm feeling whole and happy and content in every phase of my cycle and just feeling so aligned, I wanted to be able to share this with other women. So that's why I wrote this journal. And just to share a little bit about it, so like I said, it's called Living in Sync, and it's 3 months worth. And at the beginning of each phase, we have a giant list. So it's gonna tell you when each phase of your cycle is, what's happening in the body, what's happening to your hormones, where your energy level's at, what kind of movement is best for you, what kind of nutrients are best for your body, and things to avoid, and self-care. And it is in depth, and it's also aligned with the seasons, because of course we are just nature. And so that's something that I just find so beautiful about women, is how in sync we are. Like, we're in sync with the moon. We have a 28-day cycle. The moon has a 28-day cycle. We can honor this depth and this darkness and this wholeness. And we have these internal seasons, and we get to move in this way. And I feel like it's so beautiful, and it can feel so full to honor this and view it kind of in that way. So I did put in here at the beginning of, on this page with the information at the beginning of each phase of your cycle, it tells you, is this your internal winter, spring, summer, or fall? And then of course, because I just think this whole process is empowering and so beautiful. So on each page, we have a few journal prompts. So the first 2 questions are going to be the same. And then I have a unique affirmation that aligns specifically with the phase that you're in, specifically where the energy is at, and maybe some things that are coming up for you in this season, in this space, in this phase. So it's an affirmation aligned specifically with that, and then a question that aligns with that specific affirmation for the day. And then of course we have symptoms and mood trackers, so you can kind of get a feel and help yourself prepare for long term. I'm noticing at the end of these 3 months, I've tracked my cycle and now I can see this trend. So maybe in my follicular phase and my ovulation phase, my energy's high. I'm feeling hot. I'm feeling sexy. I'm feeling social. I want to try new things. I have all these new ideas. And maybe in your luteal phase, maybe you feel a little bit more irritable. Maybe you feel a little bit more spicy. And I think knowing and being aware of your hormones takes away that thing that we all hear is, oh, they're just crazy. They're just hormonal. And it just takes that away. It takes the negative away, and you can meet yourself in that spot without saying, I'm crazy, I'm hormonal. And you can go, no, I need rest. I need stillness. Maybe you need solitude. Maybe you just need that one person, or maybe you just need a heating pad. It's taking out the negative, the crazy, the, confusion. It just takes you out of that and creates space for so much understanding and honoring of the beauty and the depth that is the feminine, that is the wild feminine essence that we really have suppressed by calling it crazy and hormonal, and just not being aware and not honoring our cycles as much as we can in today's world. And, in a fast-paced, busy world, how can we find our stillness? How can we meet ourselves exactly where we are and honor this as women? So this journey for me it feels like it's just getting started. I've done this in my own life probably for about a year, and just the amount of fullness and wholeness that has come from this experience just in my own life. And then I've been meeting with women, meeting over coffee or just talking to friends and helping them, giving them this information and helping them understand what's going on in their bodies. And then, hearing these women report back saying, today I rested, today I journaled in the park, today I skipped, a super hard workout and instead meditated, or maybe did yin yoga. I just honored this space and where I truly was, and the beauty and the wholeness that comes from that is just, it's amazing. And so that's why I created this. That's why I just want to share the wild feminine. I want to love her. I want to express her. I want every woman to be able to connect to that natural essence that we all have. And it's been so beautiful for me. So I just feel absolutely honored to get to share this with other women who are interested in cycle syncing, who are interested in maybe tapping into that wild feminine and just seeing how that feels for you. So this is available on Amazon. I will link it below. It's Living in Sync by Irie Wellness. So that's Irie. And I hope you guys love it.